What is it about our beliefs that shape our map of the world? Can a belief really change your chances for success?
A belief that you can, coupled with a system, then backed with some discipline. Anyone who's watching this that thinks I just had some supernatural discipline that enabled me to overcome what I've overcome is absolutely wrong. It was a belief in myself, a belief in my higher power, a belief that life could be better. It has to start there.
That was Athena Captain, and she's what's known as a rainmaker.
I am technically, we'll call it a role, as the VP of Sales and Marketing. What I really do is I'm the rainmaker. So I go out and I strategically find the people who are our avatar, our clients. A rainmaker is the person responsible to bring in the revenue that makes the entire engine run.
So how did beliefs shape the path of Athena's life, and why did they play such a big part? You're watching The Dragon Slayers Den. I'm your host, Aaron Deal, and Athena's story may not be what you might expect.
Okay, I'm going to be very transparent. I had an extremely abusive childhood that was very poor and neglectful. When I was about 10 years old, I made a decision either to succumb to the sadness and feeling of neglect and or to defeat it. I have the journal entry, believe it or not, still, and I made a decision at that point that I could make something of this crazy life. And then when I was in my early teens, I went to visit a family member that actually was educated and lived in a situation that was not abusive and more what I think most people would call mainstream. And so I put the two and two together, and I decided that life wasn't about just becoming what your surroundings are or the people that are raising you are or any of that or the abuse that has happened to you, but that you can make a difference if you decide to. And I made a decision then that I would frankly be the polar opposite to anyone in my family. The other thing I would say to anyone out there, and I know this is kind of a business forum, but no matter who's hurt you or what has happened in life, forgiveness is the key for you. I just live a life that's full of forgiveness and grace and making the best of it. And so I work adamantly to give my daughter a life that is polar opposite from mine. She has, despite her challenges, has never even one day, 1 hour had the childhood I did.
Forgiveness is the key to unlocking your power. And that makes sense. I mean, just think about how much time and energy is wasted on holding a grudge rather than trying to find a way to move forward. So what exactly is important about finding that place within ourselves where we can forgive others?
Well, I think that it gives you the why. Okay, so not every day do you wake up and you say, do I want to do X, Y, and Z? You don't. Okay, no one, I got up at 5 o'clock this morning. I didn't want to have to get up at 5 o'clock this morning, but I have a why. I have a purpose behind what I'm doing. That is honestly more deep than even the product I'm selling.
So you have the why, and that's important. But how do you know if you've achieved your goals? I mean, what does that look like?
This is funny. I can tell you exactly. I have a best friend who we've been best friends since I was 30, for 30 years. So since I was 14, I'm aging myself. And she and I were sitting on her back deck of her house, and I looked at her and I said, we were 14. I said, someday I'm going to be a CEO and I'm going to work for a company that I fly in private planes.
A visual anchor to build momentum behind a goal. A visual anchor is part of a visualization exercise. The idea is to think of your goal as a visual. What might it look like somewhere in the future? Then, to give it more power, you fill it with emotion. What will it feel like? What will you notice? And that way you produce results. And in Athena's case, wait, it gets better.
How long was it before you were actually flying in a private plane?
I was 35 years old and I worked for a company that flew me around in private plane. Yes, thank you. So, dream it, you will achieve it.
She had a visual for her goal. But what was the belief that was so energizing, so powerful that made her goal a reality?
Your circumstances do not determine your competencies, abilities, or worth.
Major aha moment, right? Okay, so where does forgiveness play a part in all of this beliefs and believing about beliefs?
I think that it's interesting. In my personal life, it's about forgiveness and grace and moving on so that I have the mental vitality to make the tough choices at work. If I held on to bitterness and anger, I could not have the fortitude to make the tough decisions and be strong in business. And so those choices that I made personally directly affect my business decisions. So when things start to get complicated or tough in business, and by the way, they do, right? I don't care what business you are in, there's tough days, hard days, failures, there's obstacles, there's you name it. The same attributes that helped me get through at 10 are the same ones, more mature now, that helped me get through the complex business environment. I think that every single one of us has a little dream, and those dreams and ambitions are different for different people. Some seem more grandiose to some people, and some seem more simple to others, but we all have it. And if we all tap into it and understand the value of that and the impact that that can have on others and business and personal life, and we strive for that, I think that we'll all push harder, work harder, and I hope actually appreciate each other a little bit more.
Okay, so a belief is great. Clearly, it can reshape our map of the world. But is it really realistic to rely solely on a belief? How do you hold out hope when it feels like there's none left?
I have a faith, and I think my faith played a huge part of it. The other point and I think this goes back to even in personal development, where we talk about it's so important who you surround yourself with. So when I was 14, I was introduced to a girl. She's my best friend of 30 years. Her family is highly educated, highly successful. They took me in and loved me and showed me a different life. They exposed me to things that I would have never have known. The other thing is they never judged me. So when I didn't have the education level or the experience level, and I would say I don't understand that, or what do you mean by that? They took the time to educate and explain. And my best friend's mother was a doctor, and she raised 3 children, and she essentially helped raise me. And she told me that as a woman, I could be whatever I chose to be, that I could still be a wonderful mother and a woman, that I could be a lady, which is interesting, that I could embrace all that is feminine and still be successful and be a mother, and it all wrapped in one. And she exemplified that for us. And so I got to see that example. And I went on the path of making her proud, making myself proud.
It's important who you surround yourself with, or as Dragon Slayers would call it, your clan. Not to be mistaken with a controversial clan, this clan is made up of people that want to see you reach your goals. That's not always going to be your friends and family. And in the case of Athena, her new clan included a new role model in the form of her friend's mother. A beautiful example of how women can do anything they set their mind to without sacrificing any part of their feminine side just to join the proverbial boys club. So with this new role model, she began to learn new ideas about success, as well as the importance of a work-life balance.
What's really important, those of you who may not know me, I have a daughter with special needs, which creates a little bit of extra challenge when scheduling with doctors and what have you. So one of the first things is that I don't rely strictly on myself. So I've had to ask for help and understand my own limitations. Number 2 is I've had to realize that sometimes as a woman, being the best mother means I give my daughter a quality of life. And when I am with her, I give her quality time. So I'm fully engaged with her. We're spending time together. It's not just we're in a box that's called a house coexisting and somehow I'm thinking that's quality time. So when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I spend quality time with her and I'm being the best me for her.
Work-life balance also means taking time for yourself and understanding that you're not being selfish. You're recharging so that you can continue to serve others. There is a way to maintain a high level of energy and a high level of performance.
I take breaks, sharpen my saw. I would say at least a couple of times a month, I make sure I take off a day where it's just my husband and I, maybe even for an afternoon, where I'm not thinking about work, I'm not thinking about being a mom, I'm not thinking about the other roles. I'm strictly a woman enjoying a relationship and relaxing. I do not look at my life in parallel universes. I'm one body. I have 24 hours in a day. And in that 24 hours, I have to be a mom, a wife, a businesswoman, and I have to be on and care about several nonprofits. And so in order to do that doesn't mean I have one hat on or another hat on. It means in any given hour, I may wake up in the morning and that hour is being the best focused mom before my daughter gets off to school. And then when I go to work, I have particular hours of the day that I am focused on being a businesswoman. Other hours in the day where I focus on being a wife. I play it hour by hour, and I think in any given day I can be successful at any one of those hours.
Breaking it into smaller chunks allows Athena the ability to focus on being successful 1 hour at a time. This is an incredibly powerful philosophy that's commonly found in leadership training. Even the Navy SEALs use it. Rather than focusing on their big, hairy, audacious goals, they instead focus their energy on one step at a time. Now, here's where it gets kind of tricky. Think about it like a battery. Every task you perform requires a certain amount of energy, and the only way to recharge your battery is to sleep. So the question becomes, what happens when you run out of energy? Can you really accomplish every single task if you're running low?
Well, it means, okay, so then this is being very transparent. In the last 8 years, in the last 5 years, in order to accomplish helping a nonprofit get off its feet for children with special needs for my daughter, Savannah Station, with helping our company turn around the direction of the company and go where it needs to go. In February, will be celebrating 5 years of marriage, so developing a new marriage, building a home. In that course of trying my level best to be successful at all of those things, I went from a very fit person that could run half marathons to a person who's 80 pounds overweight and who has neglected herself in order to make sure all of those other things were a success. I don't mean to be bipartisan or religious, but if we're being transparent, I think that the only thing right now that I really make sure that I do that gives me stability, energy, and a sense of hope and purpose is my particular faith. Every single morning, it's where I start my day. And in that is where I find my balance. And as long as I have that, I have found, even when I neglect other parts of myself, when I nurture the spirituality I believe in, it gives me the fortitude, strength, to persevere and continue to go. It's actually more of a choice not to be disciplined, by the way. Sure. So I will say, that being said, that is not an okay place. I cannot sustain for long term no longer taking care of the physical being that I am. So there are things that I'm putting in place for 2017, now that other things have settled, that I have to take care of the whole self.
This is what's so interesting about Dragon Slayers. Once they realize there's a condition that is sucking up energy with excuses, they make a decision, take action, and create a brand new system.
Many of you may not know, because a lot of the people listening to this have knew me only in Oklahoma. There was a time in my life that I had the same problem before. So I had gained lots of weight because I neglected physical self. And so I was fairly heavy. And I lost in a year. I made a determination to create a system to, on my own, without trainers or what have you, to lose 150 pounds. And I did it in a year. So I know the system works. I know what I need to do. I have strictly allowed myself lots of excuses and lots of explanations of why I've put everything else above myself. I'm not seeking a size. I'm not seeking acceptance from other people. I'm in a loving relationship that I do not feel the need for that. It is strictly for vitality and for me to have health in order to care for my child. And in 2017, with the help of some people that I love, I plan to enact that exact same system, which is just, by the way, it's not a magic pill. It's called getting up early, exercising, drinking lots of water, eating right, doing all those things. It's not magic. It's called discipline. And so taking the time to do those things again so that I can become the healthy me.
Is it really discipline? I mean, does action really require white-knuckle discipline?
Okay, and this sounds interesting. I've always believed in discipline, and I think it's going to take discipline. However, I have learned, because I think that if you stand on the outside of my life and you look at what's going on in my life, I don't think anyone would say, oh yeah, that's a woman that lacks discipline. What I'm learning is, in my mature years, is that it takes systems. Psychological systems, that you start creating a system. And when I lost 150 pounds, I can't tell you it was discipline that got me up every day to do the things. It was a system that I believed in. So I believe it's actually a belief that you can, coupled with a system, then backed with some discipline.
A belief coupled with a system and backed with some discipline. Powerful formula, right? It's not as easy as you might think, because it takes an incredible amount of emotional power to maintain course.
You have to believe first. When I was 10, I had to make a decision of who I really wanted to be and if I was going to allow my childhood to determine my life. That was a belief. Anyone who's watching this that thinks I just had some supernatural discipline that enabled me to overcome what I've overcome is absolutely wrong. It was a belief in myself, a belief in my higher power, a belief that life could be better. It has to start there. I believed I was destined for more. I now am believing that I can continue to be all that I need to be and continue to enact my system that I know works. And I think what is changed for me is now I am undergoing a new belief, an awakening, that I cannot become who I know I'm going to be supposed to be. Mm-hmm. The me that I envisioned when I was 10, I cannot do that if I do not have the belief that I can take care of self.
So she talked about a belief coupled with a system and backed with some discipline. Let's get specific. What is a system?
The purpose as a system is to have a defined roadmap to achieve my goals and my beliefs.
So where did this idea come from? I mean, how do you create a system that works so effectively? Or maybe this is just a talent that is reserved for the select few.
Never been approached and asked if I believe that's a talent. I think maybe it's a learned skill. I learned it by trial and error, by getting in, and the desire to win, the desire to be more. I had to create ways to do so. You know, in my 20s, I certainly didn't understand what a system was, or that a system was going to do anything. I could not articulate myself then as I do now, yet I was extremely successful. Okay, so if I wake up every day and I say, I'm going to be this type of rainmaker, I'm going to be this type of businesswoman, I'm going to be this kind of mom, blah, blah, blah. If I don't have a roadmap, a plan in place, I will fail. And if you looked at my calendar, you'd be amazed. It has from 5 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night exactly what every hour needs to be. If it was all mechanics, what are you working towards?
Athena is a master of time blocking. And as we mentioned before, she focuses her success on 1 hour at a time. Another common theme in dragon slaying is Pareto's principle, or the 80-20 rule. The idea is that 80% of your outputs are derived from 20% of your inputs, and vice versa. So the question is, if 80% of your success is your mindset, does that mean 20% is the mechanics?
So the mechanics are derived and created strictly to achieve what? What I want to achieve and what you want to achieve should be different. Mm-hmm. What I have in store for me, based on that little flicker of what I was meant to be, has to believe the thing that is the mindset. So it is the belief of who I'm supposed to be, the legacy I'm going to leave on this planet, and the lives I want to impact. It is all of those things. And it is that mindset of the person I want to be. Then I create the mechanics to enable me to become that person.
So what about the last part of the equation? What about the discipline? Well, as Athena explains, if you're focusing your discipline on perfection, it's going to be an uphill battle that will get you not aware but depressed and unhappy. But instead, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Focus your discipline on where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck. In other words, focus your discipline not on perfection, but on learning.
When you're a child and your focus is survival, learning is a gift. Some people don't know this, but I'm actually dyslexic. And so in order for me to even read has been a challenge. I was held back in school because of reading disabilities. And in my freshman year in high school, I had a 5th grade reading level that I had to secretly meet with an English teacher on the side so that she could give me books to read so that I could learn to read and not have to no longer be in my honors classes in high school. So reading to me is a gift, a hard-won, deliberately determined to be able to do. And learning is a gift.
Athena is an avid reader, tackling an average of 1 novel a week. She also uses this as a tool to relax and escape from time to time. Okay, so now we have the belief, the system, and a better understanding of discipline. But how does this work in real life? Well, when Athena took over as the VP of Sales and Marketing for Turner & Son Homes, she was given the high-pressure task of reshaping the company. So with all of these ideas and resources, she hit the ground running. But the scariest part is she had to start from square one.
What we wanted to do is know exactly who our client is. So we created an avatar. And the avatar, for those of you who may not know, is a portfolio of your perfect client. What that client would look like. Where do they worship? What do they care about? What do they value? What do they spend their money on? Those types of things. That's what they look like.
Okay.
And what we found in that creation is that we have a couple of avatars. We have a client avatar, and then we found that we had a realtor avatar, and that we had a particular realtor that we wanted to work with, that we wanted to partner with to help our clients. And after we created that avatar on paper, we then went and looked, how do we do this? How do we get in front of these 2 avatars?
So this is the point in the story where Athena starts to use the power of questions to guide her discovery about who her clients are, where they're located, and how to get in front of them. Now, anybody who has taken Rhonda Knight Boyle's Strength Finders Intensive course will know the power of questions has the ability to guide you to greater levels of success.
How do you do it?
Well, what we don't do, let's start with that. What we don't do is buy TV ads, newspaper ads typically in.
So you don't market that way.
We don't market that way. Now, I think that depending on the company, that makes sense. So I'm not anti that. I just think for our particular company, it's not where we need to be. So the advertising in the traditional realm would have been what I call shotgun marketing, just throwing it out there. To be known to be known. We had to define our target market. And when we defined our target market, we found that our target market had very specific places they were going to be. And those specific places didn't necessarily have a TV ad that spoke to them, a newspaper ad, or maybe even just a magazine that spoke to them.
This would probably be considered the non-traditional way to market in the digital age. But despite of all of her questions, all of her discoveries, the answer was a lot simpler than you would expect.
Good old-fashioned grassroots, get out there, shake hands, get to know people is the most effective way.
So that's intimidating to me. The idea that you're going to create an idea of a particular kind of person and somehow find them in the entire city. I mean, you're basically looking for a needle in a haystack.
Not necessarily. What you do once you have that information is you then seek individuals within those very specific realms and reach out to them and let them know that you value what they value and you care about what they care about and that you're willing to help them. Happened with the avatar, with the client avatar, that we have found to be most successful is to use it through our realtor avatar. So we created a realtor avatar, and we know the types of realtors that we really like to work with. And then we share our client avatar with those realtors and lenders. We actually have lenders as well. And we share that with them. And then they then can identify the clients they're working with that might be a good fit for us.
So it may sound like she's using her strategic partners or the realtor avatar as an intermediary to get to her client. But the reality is, it goes back to the mindset. The picture is actually a lot bigger than that.
Well, I'm going to challenge you on something, and that is, I would say the realtor and lender. I would even say our trades, and certainly our past clients are my clients, because it is my relationships with realtors that understand my avatar, that share the same passion for serving our client and going above and beyond, that allow us to get the referrals that we have. So my realtor relationships are honestly some of the most valuable, important relationships in our company.
So now everyone you come in contact with is a potential client or at least a referral client. This is a radically different business model than the way Turner & Son Homes have been doing business for the previous 49 years. But with a shift in the business model, what does that mean for your branding? I know this is a favorite topic for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Now, if I would have started with the branding, I would have gotten it all wrong, because I had to figure out what was valuable to my client, both to my realtor client and my end client. Our company's been around for 53 years. 4 years ago, we decided to go to this custom design the home, make it budget friendly for our clients. And so we didn't do a lot of branding because we were in figuring out who we were now, right? So honestly, instead of worrying about the brand first, we worried about who are we servicing and who are they and what do they care and what do they want. Because it's right, the brand should be about what your client wants to see and hear. Now, I'm not an expert on that, but I'm kind of thinking that it's really about the client. It's not about me.
Right.
So we did all this research about what they want to see here. Now you will see we've did our entire website. It's much more simple, easy to use. It has a lot of white paper and educational things, non-salesy things to help and add value and be a resource. All of that, if you want to call it, is us branding to be the service-oriented builder.
Our new system is finally taking shape, but it's not quite ready yet.
Well, this is going to be so high-tech, it'll make your mind just be boggled.
What do you got?
No, not at all. It was a little a questionnaire, about 12 questions, and I called, since we've been doing business for so long, I called past clients and asked them a series of questions.
No kidding. So you just cold called past clients and said, hey, I've got the survey I've got to do.
Absolutely. I said, look, I've got this, here's what we're trying to do as an organization, and can you tell me a little bit about yourself? And if you could say anything you wanted to a builder, what would you say? And how would you, what's important to you, etc.
Just have the conversation. That's another thing that keeps popping up.
And I listened, intently listened. And, I listened to people that were like, well, you guys should have done blah, blah, blah. Okay. I listened to it all. You do not change the way a company has been building homes, and that means going to market and the strategy of building on land. You do not do that and not have obstacles and things and systems fall apart and things that you have had to tweak and learn and develop. All the things that we have tweaked, learned, developed, implemented, all have come from the feedback of our clients. If you're an entrepreneur and you're afraid of trial and error, you're in for a shock of a lifetime.
Your eyes got really big on
I'm just saying. You have to stay relevant. And stagnant attitudes in business means failure, true failures. How important it is as an entrepreneurial person to get your ego checked and understand your service is about serving somebody. And if you don't fully understand what your clients want you to do and how they want you to do it, and you're only doing it because it makes you feel good or you emotionally like it or etc., it's absolutely wrong. When we first started going to market with our scattered sites, boy, we failed. We monumentally failed because we're builders. We know what they want. Not at all, right? We got it so wrong because it was about traditionally, this is how it works, and all of that traditional And so what we did is we realized it wasn't being successful, so we had to take a step back, talk to our clients. Well, what we learned is our clients, they don't care if their budget's $100,000 or $700,000. They want it custom built the way they want it because this is their maybe land that their family inherited on the land room. And so we had to get ourselves out of our way and understand it's not about us, it's about them.
In this last segment, Athena really brings it full circle about the external factors that contributed to their success. not only for her, but for her company.
Really because of the leadership and mentorship of Tim Turner. Leadership is about leading other people. It's about being the best for them. It's about serving them. It is about looking at obstacles that they need removed out of their way so that they can be the best they can be. A good mentor needs to be radically honest with the person they're mentoring. 5 years ago, when I decided to come to Turner & Son Homes, Tim had an attitude that allowed me to put my family first, to challenge me, to be willing to be humble and consistently learn on his own, to push me, yet lead me.
So she found a new clan that aligned with her beliefs. Just think about how simple that is. I mean, how much time do you waste with the wrong people? 5 years later, they are getting ready to have their most successful fourth quarter ever. So what is it about Turner & Sons and their beliefs that has made the company so successful?
Because we're going to actually be a full service builder. We're going to care about what you're saying. We're going to listen to you. We're going to care about your budget. We're going to care about how you want the house to be designed. We're going to understand that your land is so valuable. We want to partner with you on how you plan to live in it and what your future in that house looks like.
And if somebody wants to learn more about Turner & Sons, where do you recommend they go to find out more?
turnerandson.com, and on the front page of the website, it says Contact Athena. I think the first thing that I want to say to people that are struggling and feel like they're down and out, they haven't achieved the goals that they wanted, etc., I'm going to say something very directly to them. You are not alone. We've all been there. Success takes a group of people working together to achieve something. So I believe that everyone needs someone that they can, a mentor, coach, something where they have somebody that keeps them accountable, sees their true potential, and inspires them to reach it. Helps them to have vitality when they want to give up. Helps them get back on the right path when they've veered. Help them to maintain the light at the end of the tunnel. And hopefully offer wisdom and guidance along that path.
What strikes me the most about the interview with Athena is that all of these tools, resources, and ideas that she's constructed around her are all about trying to serve someone else, as if there was some deep-seated human need to contribute to something greater than ourselves. Our beliefs create our outlook. Our outlook creates our experiences. Our experiences create our reality. Now, that may sound like something Yoda might say in Star Wars, but it's true. It all begins with our beliefs.
Athena, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk to me about your story and your role as a rainmaker and as a dragon slayer. You are truly a master of dragon slaying. I hope you know that. And I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to take it down.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, sir.
And again, happy anniversary on your 5 years with Turner & Sons.
Thank you.
A couple quick thank yous. Thank you to Sarah Strunk Photography for your help with this project and these videos. Thank you again to my eXp Realty family for your continued support of Dragon Slayers Den. And of course, Athena Captain. You're a Dragon Slayer, you're a Rainmaker, you are an inspiration. And I'm grateful for our time together. If you liked the video, please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and share it with all of your friends. Thank you again for tuning in to Dragon Slayers Den. And until next time, remember, the scariest dragon you have to slay is up here.